Google Sheets has a new feature that allows you to easily add these color-coded drop-down menus into a range in Google Sheets. Here's how to do it. So first I will select the range I want to add drop-downs to. In this case, I'll select the entire column D, and then I'll go to Insert and choose Drop-Down. This is a data validation that I'm adding in, and that rule creator opens on the right sidebar. So first off, I don't want this applied to the header here, D1, so I'm going to change this to apply to range D2 through all the way to the end of column D. Now, the criteria are like what you would have seen when you added data validation before, with the new options for drop-down or drop-down from a range. Drop-down from a range allows you to populate the drop-down options from a range somewhere in one of your spreadsheets. I'm going to choose the regular drop-down option for now, and I'm going to replace the option 1, option 2 here with the words I want. So I'm going to do project status, so I'm going to do things like completed in progress. And when I type my first value in, I can also choose a color for that. So I'll choose green for completed, and I'll have an in progress status option here, and for that I will choose the yellow. I can click add another item to say to add more. I'll choose delayed here. It might be an issue, so I can make that a red. The preview in the bottom shows me whether it'll be legible. I'm going to pick a lighter red, and I'll add one more that's not started, and I'll make that kind of a grayish blue. Alright, once I've added all of my drop-down items, in advanced options I can do a little bit more here. I can choose some help text if I want to indicate what people should be selecting. In most cases the drop-downs should be self-explanatory, but it's an option. And if someone tries to type in an option not on my list, I can choose to reject it, which is the default for drop-downs, or I can show a warning. So if I say delay, it's not quite my option. It let me add it in, but it put this little red triangle there. So in general, if you want the best data for analysis and seeing things later on, you would want to only allow certain options here, so you would choose reject the input. Now finally, you can change the display style from the chip, which is the default for drop-downs. You can change it to arrow, which is a little more discrete option there that lets you choose drop-downs, or plain text, in which case someone would just have to type in the values, which in general doesn't make sense for a drop-down. So I'm going to choose the default chip, and I will click on done. Now I can easily choose these options from the list here. If I want to edit these, let's say I need to add a new value, I can click on the drop down, and then I'll notice the pencil down here. I can click on that to open up these rules again. By default it only is applying it to the cell I currently selected, but if I go ahead and add this change and click on done, it's going to prompt me whether I want to change it just for this one instance, which was cell D6, or apply it to the whole range I initially created these drop downs for. I want it for all of them, so I'll click apply to all, and then you'll see my original rule updates. The other way you can edit these rules is by going to data validation, and then you can click on the rule you've created you want to edit, and it will open up the rules here where you can change them this way as well. Now one of the ways you can work with these color-coded drop-downs is through timelines. This is a relatively new feature in Google Sheets where you could take data with start and end dates and put it into a Gantt view like this. And the really nice feature of the colored drop-downs is the color coding of those cards within the timeline. So if I wanted to turn this into a timeline, first off I need valid start date and end date and what I want each card to be, and I already have that, so I'll select my information, choose insert, and this time I'll choose timeline, confirm, and it will take an estimate of what I want here for start date, end date, card title. But like I said, the interesting thing is that card color, if you've used those pre-color coded drop-down menus, you can use the color assigned by those statuses. So then people will know visually looking at your timeline, we're in February and I have a red item over here. That was not a good thing. That was delayed, so I can see that's a problem. So this is an application that you can use the color-coded drop-downs in the timeline tool to easily visualize your information.